All right, you guys, one of my favorite times of the show. It's time for mom therapy, okay? We're gonna get into a session where we bring together everyday Chicagoland moms to vent about everyday parenting issues. So today we have Shantay, Jè Taun, and Norah. Mamas, what's good?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. So let's jump right in here. Let's start off by talking tough love, okay? So everyone, they want their kids to be successful, but basically where's the line drawn between supporting them and then letting them kind of just ride out some of the natural consequences of life? So of course, we're not talking life or death, but specifically, for example, your child's homework, if they forget it at home and you take it up to the school to help them out. So where you guys stand on tough love? Let's start with you, Shantay.
Oh, homework, for instance. Well, it would kind of depends, you know. So are they young? If they're in elementary school, if it's a science project, I'll probably take it up to the school.
A big
math
project.
worksheet, absolutely. A math worksheet, no, I'm probably not getting out of bed for that. You know, you should have remembered that yourself. But when they're in junior high, high school, they're learning to be a little bit more responsible, then that's when you're like, you know what, you should have remembered that project yourself. So that's kind of where I teach the responsibility right there. Like, you need to start learning around that time. So at that moment, it's like, nope, you should have took the homework yourself, you know, and I feel like it builds character.
Where you kind of push a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jè Taun, what do you think?
Well, I personally feel that my children should be held responsible. I'm one of those parents, you know, tough love. But I know at times I may need to bring it, but I really do, going back to what Shantay said, you know, it really just depends on what kind of project is it. You know, for example, every night I tell my son, LeBron, make sure you have your homework in your bag.
Does he do it?
LeBron, I hope you're ready this morning, but normally he does, but sometimes he doesn't, and he's like, Mom, can you bring it? And sometimes I do, it just depends, but sometimes I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You have to learn.
If it's an ongoing thing, because we make mistakes too, like we forget things that we may need during the day. Norah, what do you think? You have 2 children.
I'm a big fan of benign neglect, so like the natural consequences that happen when I'm not nagging them to do something. So, not that I don't nag, but you know what I'm saying. Same with a science project, I would probably bring, because that took a lot more work than the math homework. And I always say I would never bring anything, but I'm kind of a softie on the inside. I'll bring their lunches to school because I'm cheap and I don't want to have to pay.
Well, those can add up for sure.
For sure.
So, I hear what you guys are saying. It sounds like you're saying balance is really the key to this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like a little bit, but I guess when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's like, when do I not, when do I do, I guess. All right, so on to a slightly more serious but definitely important question. Let's talk gun safety. So when you send your child to another kid's house for a sleepover or just for a play date, do you guys end up asking whether or not they should, whether or not they have guns in the home and whether or not they're locked up? Because you would ask that for food allergies. You know, you would ask what are they going to eat or what are you going to feed them?
When my daughter first started having play dates, I fretted about doing this. I was so nervous I was going to offend somebody. And I'd work up the courage to ask people, and then I completely forgot who I had already asked. So I need a spreadsheet of who I've asked already. But I think it's really important, and I also think it's really important to talk to your kids about what they would do in that situation. Would they, like, tell them, I always tell my daughter, like, you just run out of the room. Who cares if they make fun of you? Like, just run out of the room and come home.
And just to get the seriousness of this situation, one study actually showed that 89% of unintentional shooting deaths occur in homes. So most of them as a result of kids playing with loaded weapons without the adult's knowledge. So like you said, telling them what to do in that actual situation. Shantay, what do you think?
Oh man, I've never even thought about this topic.
Really?
It's never even, normally if my kids are going to someone's house, I want to know, do you have a dog? Do you have a snake? You know, something crazy like that, you know. But I've never even thought about, do you have a gun? You know, it's never crossed my mind. I think it definitely should be something that's more normalized, where we're asking those questions. And from now on, from here on out, I will be asking, if you want my kids to come over, do you have a gun? Because they're not coming if you have a gun.
Because it's hard, because you don't want to feel like you're prying into another adult's home.
Right.
But when your kid's there, I'm sure we all feel a little bit differently, especially after hearing this statistic, 89%. What do you think?
Well, especially after hearing those statistics. Same thing with Shantay. I never thought to ask, other parents, especially, with my middle child, being he's a preteen now, and he's the one that usually goes over to, more of his friend's house.
Okay, he's a little older. You're giving him a little more freedom.
Yes, and then my daughter, she's 1.5, so there are a lot of play dates, and now I'm definitely going to be asking a lot of parents, and I think it should be normalized. We should have more conversations about this within, families and moms, and because I think it's important. It's very important. And just hearing those statistics, I'm sorry, just got me emotional because that is a huge number.
Yeah.
And it's something that we definitely have to talk about more, especially as moms, dads, parents, everybody in the community, because we can avoid a lot of things like that.
Now, do you go to the the other parent's home? Do you stay there, or do you sit with the other parent? Because you know what I mean. Just because your kids are friends doesn't mean you're friends with the parents.
Yeah, you try to get to know the parents sometimes, and sometimes you do, and sometimes it doesn't
like how
work out.
invasive are you? And sometimes you want that free time.
Exactly.
Let's keep it real.
Exactly. Mom time.
Right. You want to send your kids somewhere else. So
You're like, do you smoke? Do you do drugs? You don't do drugs? Okay, I'm out of here.
And then most importantly, who's in the household? Because my mom was like that growing
that's
up.
the question.
Who's in the
That's a good
household?
question.
Who's in the household? So I know, because that's definitely important, especially in this day and age. So.
Yeah. Nora, have you run into anything or any situations?
Well, I was going to say my daughter's first play date, like when she was in elementary school, we showed up and I started to come in and the mom was like, what? You're not hanging out.
You get that reaction from
and I was
some
like,
parents.
I was so embarrassed.
Because they don't want to host the parents.
Yeah, no, you want those kids to come over to make your kid go play somewhere else and leave you alone for a while. So
I know when I was coming up, I couldn't sleep over. That wasn't a thing. Now we would go to other people's homes, but my parents were that strict. They wouldn't allow me to sleep over places.
that's something we're trying to figure out now.
Same thing with me.
Really?
Yeah. Now my husband and I, we have our daughter. She's 1.5, so now I'm like.
I know things are different with girls.
I know.
Very, very
Yeah, because my mom and my dad
But
was
it
like
shouldn't
that.
be. It shouldn't be, because we got statistics for that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is
very
true.
different.
So sisters Hillary and Haley Duff said they do not share parenting advice, saying they do not want to push an agenda on each other. So who do you turn to for parenting advice, and where's the line between opinions versus mom shaming? Jè Taun, I'll start with you.
Well, I get my parenting advice from my sister. I call her expert mom. She's a mom of 6, and
Oh, she an expert.
yes, Keisha, you an expert, boo. Yes. And also, I call her my doctor too. So I'm like, if I don't have to call the doctor, I can just call her, and she can let me know and everything. But going back to your question, I would say as far as parent shaming, I don't agree with it. It's one thing to give your opinion, and it's one thing to, shame a parent. I don't think that that's right. I think you can be able to sit down and talk about it. But in 2019, not everybody is going to agree with your parenting styles, and that's okay. And I think that's why, as moms, it's important to have confidence in who we are.
Yeah.
It's like God gave us our kids, and that's who. He gave
Those are
them
your
to us.
kids.
Yeah, those are our kids. So I got emotional.
Nora, what do you think? That's what mom panel is about. Shed those tears, girl. Nora, what do you think? Because it's such a fine line, and I think a lot of moms do it because they're so into and so passionate about their kids, and they want to share their experiences, but it's not always warranted. Like, we don't always need it.
And so I would always ask parenting advice on Facebook, which, especially if you're home with a baby and you don't, it's a really great way to reach out.
What do people do before the internet?
Yeah, I know. They got stuff done, actually. But it's hard to, we all have read emails or things and thought, took it one way when somebody meant it the other way. So there's a lot of times I kind of stopped with asking for parenting advice on Facebook because either I felt shamed, or, even though that might not have been the person's intent. Or so I just have a small group of people that I know are in the same vein as me that I'll reach out to, or I call my mom every day.
Shantay, where do you get that support for being a mother?
Oh, definitely from my mom. I always ask her. She's like super mom, super grandma. She knows like everything and how to handle every situation, seems like.
Really?
At least it feels that way.
I know.
But I feel like suggestions are good.
But do you have to draw a line with that? Because you know how moms can be.
They definitely
As I'm talking
can
to all
be.
the moms, you know how moms can be.
And my mom
How do you draw that
very, like, you know, she's like very, very like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. You
She's
shouldn't do
your
this.
mama.
Absolutely, yes. But she has so much good advice when I ask her things as far as my kids go. But then when it's me, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like suggestions are great, and I'm open to suggestions all the time. But you know, when you're tearing away at somebody's personality or their character, and telling them like, well, you should do this because in my culture we do this, or you know, in my household we did that, then I kind of feel like now you're starting to mom shame, and you know, it's like, okay, your opinion is starting to get on my nerve now.
It's like you want to empower with your opinions and your experiences, not tear down or force. Well, I guess it's such a fine line because I think a lot of people don't even realize they're doing it. You don't want to force your opinion.
Nobody likes opinions. Nobody likes them, you know. And a lot of times, if it's not what you want to do and what you believe in, you're gonna be offended. You're gonna feel some type of way about it. So
and I guess maybe that's also something too. Like, don't take it so personal.
absolutely.
People don't usually
Mm-hmm.
people don't mean to be like that.
Absolutely.
So try not to take it so personally. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I know. I feel like I feel like we connected. Okay.
And your nails are beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, so now we're gonna have girl talk. We had mom talk. Now we're gonna have girl talk. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to commercial break because I'm just having fun. So we want to hear from you guys at home, okay? From all you moms at home, hit us up on social media on what you thought about today's mom topics. Plus, what do you want us to talk about in another round of mom therapy? Please let us know. Head to the Jam TV show and update us.